So, I popped into High House Insurance to see if they could quote for my house insurance rather than using the internet. High House got a great deal. So, to celebrate, I bought a posh hairdo. It made me look beautiful, gorgeous enough to become a highly paid model. I then won Celebrity Big Brother. I had an affair with an MP. Now I'm promoting a doll of me that says, "Cool, blimey, you're well fit."
Happy things happen when you talk face-to-face with High House Insurance. See if we can beat your home insurance quote from the internet. Find us on the High Street, Selsey, or call 606 552.
Hi, this is Keith Barnes for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'd like to welcome you once again to our weekly podcast. In the programme this week, Mary Kennedy tells us about what's on, Ellis Berg reads us a story about the whale, and Lyn Reeve gives us a mouth-watering recipe for a midweek moussaka. So Mary, over to you.
Hello, Mary Kennedy here to tell you what's on this week. On Monday the 24th, the Cinema Club is showing Chef at the Town Hall, 7 for 7:30pm. Tickets are £5 each, available at the Town Hall. Also on Monday, Selsey Camera Club meets at St Wilfrid's Church Hall at 7:30. Visitors are welcome. There's a print competition for the Turner Peninsula Trophy, and more information about that is on selseycameraclub.co.uk. Selsey Town Council's planning meeting is on Wednesday the 26th at 7:30 in the Parish Hall. On Friday, Selsey U3A welcomes Jonathan Jones, the official town crier for Farnham, to their meeting at the Selsey Centre, which starts at 2:30. And now for Saturday. And my goodness, what a packed day that looks like. No fewer than 6 events for you to enjoy. Firstly, the Venture Club Boutique have a jewellery and gift sale from 9:30 until 11. You could then wander down to the Town Hall for the Labour Party's winter fair from 10 till 12. After that, St Wilfrid's Catholic Church welcomes you to their Christmas fair between 10 and 1. Father Christmas will be making an early visit, and children can post their letters in his post box. There's a gift for every child, and lots of ideas for early Christmas gifts. Then back to St Peter's for their Christmas fair from 12 to 3. I understand Father Christmas will have moved on to his grotto there. Hot lunches and mulled wine will be served. Down at East Beach, Elite Hair have a charity day to support Selsey Lifeboats and Selsey Community Nursery. Free haircuts, plus face painting, cakes, raffles and stalls. You could spend the rest of the day at the Selsey Town Grand Christmas Party in the High Street and watch the Christmas lights switch on at 6pm. The road will be closed from 5. There's late night shopping, Santa's street parade and much more, not to be missed. That's it for this week. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, thank you for that, Mary. There's an awful lot going on in the coming week, and especially next weekend. For anybody, of course, that hasn't been to the Selsey Light Switch On before, you really need to get down there and get involved. It's a fabulous evening, wonderful village atmosphere, lots of shops open, lots of stuff to do, and all you have to do is pray for good weather. We go across to Ellis Berg now, and Ellis is going to be reading us the first in a trilogy of stories, and this one's about the whale.
This is the first of the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling. They're called Just So stories because they have to be read just so, to your little girl or boy in bed. This is the story of how the whale got his throat. In the sea, once upon a time, O my best beloved, there was a whale, and he ate fishes. He ate the starfish and the garfish and the crab and the dab and the plaice and the dace and the skate and his mate and the mackerel and the pickerel and the really, truly, twirly-whirly eel. All the fishes he could find in the sea he ate with his mouth, so, till at last there was only one small fish left in all the sea, and he was a small 'stute fish, and he swam a little behind the whale's right ear so as to be out of harm's way. Then the whale stood on his tail and said, "I'm hungry." And the 'stute fish said in a small 'stute voice, "A noble and generous cetacean, have you ever tasted man?" "No," said the whale. "What is it like?" "Nice," said the small 'stute fish. "Nice, but lovely." "Then fetch me some," said the whale, and he made the sea froth up with his tail. "One at a time is enough," said the 'stute fish. "If you swim to latitude 50 north, longitude 40 west, that is magic, you will find sitting on a raft in the middle of the sea, with nothing on but a pair of blue canvas breeches, a pair of suspenders — you must not forget the suspenders, best beloved — and a jackknife, one shipwrecked mariner, who, it is only fair to tell you, is a man of infinite resource and sagacity." So the whale swam and swam to latitude 50 north, longitude 40 west, as fast as he could swim, and on a raft in the middle of the sea, with nothing to wear except a pair of blue canvas breeches, a pair of suspenders — you must particularly remember the suspenders, best beloved — and a jackknife, he found one single solitary shipwrecked mariner trailing his toes in the water. He had his mummy's permission to paddle, or else he would never have done it, because he was a man of infinite resource and sagacity. Then the whale opened his mouth, back and back and back, till it nearly touched his tail, and he swallowed the shipwrecked mariner and the raft he was sitting on, and his blue canvas breeches, and the suspenders, of which you must not forget, and the jackknife. He swallowed them all down into his warm, dark inside cupboards, and he smacked his lips so, and turned round 3 times on his tail. But as soon as the mariner, who was a man of infinite resource and sagacity, found himself inside the whale's warm, dark inside cupboards, he stumped and he jumped and he thumped and he bumped and he pranced and he danced and he banged and he clanged and he bit and he hit and leapt and he creeped, and he prowled and he howled and he hopped and he dropped, he cried and he sighed and he crawled and he bawled, and he stepped and he leapt and he danced hornpipes where he shouldn't, and the whale felt most unhappy indeed. "Have you forgotten the suspenders?" So he said to the 'stute fish, "This man is very nubbly, and besides he's making me hiccup. What shall I do?" "Tell him to come out," said the 'stute fish. So the whale called down his own throat to the shipwrecked mariner, "Come and behave yourself. I've got the hiccups." "Nay, nay," said the mariner, "not so, but far otherwise. Take me to my natal shore and the white cliffs of Albion, and I'll think about it." And he began to dance more than ever. "You'd better take him home," said the 'stute fish to the whale. "I ought to have warned you that he is a man of infinite resource and sagacity." So the whale swam and swam and swam with both flippers and his tail as hard as he could for the hiccups, and at last he saw the mariner's natal shore and the white cliffs of Albion, and he rushed halfway up the beach and opened his mouth wide and wide and wide and said, "Change here for Winchester, Ashua Lot, Nashua, Keene, and stations on the Fitchburg Road." And just as he said "Fitch," the mariner walked out of his mouth. But while the whale had been swimming, the mariner, who was indeed a person of infinite resource and sagacity, had taken his jackknife and cut up the raft and into little square grating, all running crisscross, and he had tied it firm with his suspenders. Now you know why you are not to forget the suspenders. And he dragged that grating good and tight into the whale's throat, and there it stuck. And then he recited the following sloka, which, as you have not heard it, I will now proceed to relate. By means of a grating, I have stopped your eating. For the mariner he was also an Hibernian. And he stepped out onto the shingle and went home to his mother, who had given him leave to trail his toes in the water, and he married and lived happily ever afterward. And so did the whale. But from that day on, the grating in his throat, which he could neither cough up nor swallow down, prevented him eating anything except very, very small fish, and that is the reason why whales nowadays never eat men or boys or little girls. The small stewardfish went and hid himself in the mud under the door-sills of the equator. He was afraid that the whale might be angry with him. The sailor took the jackknife home. He was wearing the blue canvas breeches when he walked out on the shingle. The suspenders were left behind, you see, to tie the grating with. And that is the end of that tale.
Oops, I nearly nodded off there, Ellis. It took me back to when I was 4 or 5 years old and my father used to read me bedtime stories. How wonderful life was then. Now, having just come bounding into the studio like Tigger, we've got up next the lovely Lyn Reeve from Tupney Rice, and Lyn's going to give us the second in her series of Midweek Bakes. What have we got this week, Lyn?
It's Midweek Moussaka, we're calling this.
Moussaka.
Moussaka,
Greek.
or Moussaka.
Lovely.
Where I come from, it's Moussaka.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an easy take on a Greek moussaka using diced aubergines instead of the fried aubergine slices that everybody uses. And we're going to just cover that with cooked potatoes and traditional egg and cheese topping. So here we go then. 900 grams of baby new potatoes, and you want those halved, all right? So
Okay.
cooked and halved.
Yeah.
2 tablespoons of olive oil. Do try and use a nice olive oil. Don't go buying a cheap one. It does taste in your recipes.
There is a difference.
There is a big difference in olive oil. 2 finely chopped onions. You want 500 grams of lean minced lamb. So don't go forward into buying a cheaper minced lamb because you end up with lots of fat.
I'm
and it's
a
just
real
not
fussy
worth it.
so-and-so with meat, so...
Yeah. It's not worth it. You're skimming all that fat off and you're actually paying for that fat as well. So
yes,
it doesn't work out that much dearer to get the nice lean cut of meat. 2 aubergines, roughly chopped, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 400 gram can or tin of chopped tomatoes. It doesn't matter if they're chopped or not, you're going to chop them up anyway. All right. 100 mils of well-flavoured lamb or vegetable stock. If you're not a big cook, you probably won't have that in your kitchen, so just go and buy one of these little stock cubes. They are very good and they're nice. 1 tablespoon of corn flour, 1/2 teaspoon of dried mixed herbs. You can put anything you want in. You could use fresh herbs if you want to. And in my kitchen, I've got lots of little pots of things around, and I just pinch a bit of this and a pinch a bit of that.
Yes, I prefer fresh herbs. But
yeah, it doesn't matter.
it
Dried
really
mixed
make a
herbs
difference.
will suffice. You want 225 mils of milk, 1 egg beaten up, and 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder. Now that's optional, but for me that gives it a little bit of a kick. And 75 grams of cheddar cheese grated. All right. So you fry the onions and the lamb as you would normally in your frying pan. Just fry them together, mix them up until the lamb's nicely browned. Cook the potatoes in a pan of slightly salted boiling water until they're tender, but not mushy, and drain them off. Heat the oil in a heavy non-stick frying pan and stir in the onions and the lamb while the potatoes are cooking. You cook that over a medium heat until the lamb is slightly browned. Add your aubergines then, stir in your aubergines, then cook them over a fairly high heat for about 2 or 3 minutes now. Season it and simmer. So put all your seasonings in together, all your herbs in together in the pot, and just put the lid on and simmer it away and for about 15 minutes until it's cooked through properly.
So while it's simmering, you could have a glass of wine or something.
Now you're on my wavelength. Now we'll get on well.
Yes.
Yes, I do like my glass of wine. It's one for the pot and one for Lyn. Okay. Well, maybe not that many, but I sound like I'm an alcoholic now. Cook them then, stirring it off for about 3 minutes. Oh, while the meat is cooking, put the corn flour in a small pan and add 2 tablespoons of milk. Now, you need to stir this in very gradually into your corn flour and your milk paste, and then you need to add your liquids very gradually to that, else you're going to have a very lumpy sauce, and it doesn't. The secret of a smooth sauce is to very slowly mix your corn flour and your milks together, and just add it small, little bit at a time, yeah. And cook that off, stirring it for about 3 minutes. Remove it from the heat and stir to cool a little. Beat in the egg and season it with mustard, and if you want to, salt and pepper. So that's to taste, isn't it? It's just to your own individual taste.
A little bit of bite to it with the mustard.
And put it all together. Spoon the meat and the aubergines in the dish, pour over your topping, put the potato over the top, bit more topping on the top of that, a bit more of your sauce, and then just bake it in the oven. Chuck it in the oven for about 15-20 minutes, and it'll go golden brown on the top, and it's lovely underneath. And it's just a very quick take on a moussaka. A very nice dish for midweek, Monday, Tuesday. And you could, couldn't you, make this enough for 1 or 2 or 3? So it's a single meal if you want it to be in a little casserole dish. Yeah. It's a very tasty little dish.
And to be washed down with a glass of Retsina or something Greek.
Oh, I think of nice red wine with that one, don't you? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's right up my street. Well, thanks once again, Lyn.
You're very welcome.
And we'll see you again next time.
All right.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, Lyn. Well, that's pretty much it for this week's rather shortened podcast, I'm afraid. If you have any ideas, anything you'd like us to discuss, anything you'd like us to find out about, please feel free to contact me, keithbarnes49@aol.com, and we may well invite you into the studio to discuss your ideas or your thoughts, and you can meet some of those involved. This is Keith Barnes saying thank you very much for listening, and see you again soon. Bye.